Hey there everybody, I'm Miss Tammy and I work with the team here at Vaden, and I'm so excited to be able to read to you today. I'm horribly sad that I can't be with you in person, but happy that I could read to you virtually. And today we are reading The Prince and the Witch and the Thief and the Bears. Here we go. What kind of story shall we have tonight? Asked Dad as he tucked Jamie into bed one evening. A made-up one, said Jamie, with a prince and a bear and a witch and more bears. All right, said Dad, why not? This, said Dad, is a story called The Prince and the Witch and the Thief and the Bears. Once upon a time, said Dad, there lived a valiant prince. He was brave and noble prince, and he lived in a far-off kingdom where he... How far off? Asked Jamie. What? Asked Dad. How far off was the kingdom? The kingdom, said Dad, was far, far away on the top of the highest mountain in the world, Mount Really, Really Tall, where fierce bears and dragons and wolves prowl. How fierce were the bears? Asked Jamie. Very fierce, said Dad, enormous and shaggy with thick matted hair and vicious claws as big as your head. How far did the prince get past the bears then? He climbed down off the cliffside where the bears couldn't reach, said Dad. Wow, Jamie, with his horse as well? Yes, said Dad. He carried his horse on his back. Wow, he was very strong, said Dad. So, said Dad, there was this prince, and he was very brave, and one day he set off to rescue his beautiful princess. Why couldn't the princess rescue the prince? Complained Jamie. Mom says princesses in stories are rubbish. Well, in this story, it's a prince. I want to be the princess, says Jamie. All right, replied Dad. Why not? The very brave princess set off. No, actually, I want to be the prince, said Jamie. The prince, exclaimed Dad, set off to rescue the princess. The princess was a prisoner in a dark tower at the edge of the forest. She was being held there by her wicked aunt, who was really a witch with an evil eye. How evil! So evil that it can turn you into a stone, said Dad. Or Jell-O? Asked Jamie. No, a stone. But maybe Jell-O sometimes? Well, okay, yes, sometimes, said Dad. Good, said Jamie, because I like Jell-O. The witch had locked the princess up in the tower. Why did she do that? She did it to set a trap for the prince. The witch hated the prince because he'd laughed at her only friend, a tiny green frog, just as big as your thumb, who lived in the folds of the witch's cloak. And so it was that prince rode for many miles until he reached a tower, a terrible, awful place called Castle. Castle Broccoli, said Jamie, darkly. Castle Broccoli. I don't like broccoli. At the top of the disgusting, hideous Castle Broccoli, the prince looked for the princess. But before he could rescue her... Uh-oh, missed a page. The witch caught him, shouted Jamie. The witch caught him, agreed Dad. And they had a fight, shouted Jamie. And they had a fight, agreed Dad. Because the witch was really a ninja, said Jamie. Because the witch was really a ninja? Well, yeah, exactly, a ninja. The witch, who was really a ninja, attacked the prince with a mighty leaping kick. Look at this page. But he dodged, and she flew over the castle walls, and she was eaten by the bears. Oh, Dad looked down. What's wrong? But I like the witch, said Jamie. She was a ninja, and she had an evil eye and a frog. And anyway, it was the silly prince's fault for laughing, and she never got to turn into Jell-O. Said Dad. Right, yep, The witch was eaten by the bears, he said. Or so it seemed. But at the last minute, the princess, who was secretly a famous jewel thief called Fingers Malloy, picked the lock of her cell, ran to the wall, threw down a grappling rope, and caught the witch. Yay! But then a tiny frog fell out of the witch's cloak. Oh no, said Jamie. Oh no, said the prince. Dad. The witch grabbed the frog and the princess, and the prince heaved her back up. And the horse helped, said Jamie. And the horse helped, of course, said Dad. Together they pulled the witch and her frog back up to the top of the castle and to safety. Hooray! The witch was so grateful to them for rescuing her frog that she said so sorry for capturing the princess, and the prince said so sorry to the witch for laughing at her frog, and then the prince and the princess, who secretly the jewel thief Fingers Malloy, set off for home for their next adventure. As night fell and the stars twinkled over the land of Mount Really, Really Tall, the witch tucked the frog back into the folds of her cloak where it was nice and warm. Dad tucked Jamie under the covers. How warm? Asked Jamie, blinking sleepily. As warm as a lovely warm bug snuggled up in a rug with a hug from his dad who loves him. How much? Jamie murmured. As much, Dad whispered softly, as your daddy loves you. Daddy? Whispered Jamie. Yes. What about the bears? Don't worry, we'll find out about them tomorrow. And he kissed Jamie goodnight and left him to dream. And that is the end of our story. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.